In a landmark corruption case that has shaken Zambia's political landscape, former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji has been convicted on multiple counts of financial misconduct, illicit asset acquisition, and abuse of public office. Known in political circles by the nickname Bonanza, Malanji now finds himself at the center of what many observers are calling one of the most audacious corruption scandals in the country's post-independence history. The Lusaka Magistrate Court, presided over by Acting Chief Resident Magistrate Irene Wishamanga, delivered a damning verdict that placed Malanji at the heart of a complex web of financial transactions designed to obscure the origins of millions of dollars in unexplained wealth. The court found that Malanji had unlawfully acquired 2 helicopters, a Bell 430 and a Bell 206 Jet Ranger, registered under Gibson Air Charters, a company linked to his personal interests. These aircraft, valued in the millions, were purchased using funds that far exceeded his declared income as a public servant. In addition to the helicopters, Malanji was found guilty of acquiring multiple high-end residential properties in Lusaka's Silverist Gardens and other affluent neighborhoods. These acquisitions were financed through cash payments and foreign currency transfers that lacked any lawful justification. The court rejected Malanji's defense, which relied on purported mining and construction contracts allegedly tied to operations in the Democratic Republic of Congo and China. Magistrate Wishamanga ruled that these documents were fictitious and served only to mask the laundering of illicit funds. The prosecution presented a compelling case that demonstrated a deliberate and calculated effort to siphon public resources under the guise of diplomatic and business engagements. Malanji's financial maneuvers were described as systematic and intentional, involving the structuring of transactions to conceal ownership and the true source of funds. The judgment emphasized that such conduct not only undermines public trust, but also erodes the integrity of state institutions tasked with safeguarding national resources. The court's findings were supported by forensic audits, bank records, and testimony from financial experts who traced the flow of money through shell companies and offshore accounts. Adding to the gravity of the case was the involvement of Fredson Yamba, former Secretary to the Treasury, who was convicted alongside Malanji for authorizing the transfer of over $4.6 million to Zambia's diplomatic mission in Turkey. These funds were earmarked for real estate procurement, but were moved in violation of established financial procedures. Yamba's actions, though framed by his legal team as being in line with government interests, were deemed a serious breach of fiduciary responsibility. The dual convictions of Malanji and Yamba mark a significant moment in Zambia's ongoing efforts to combat high-level corruption, particularly among officials affiliated with the former Patriotic Front administration. The case has sparked widespread debate across Zambia's media and civil society, with many questioning the depth of institutional complicity and the effectiveness of existing anti-corruption frameworks. Analysts argue that Malanji's rise to power and subsequent fall from grace reflect broader systemic failures, including weak oversight mechanisms, politicized law enforcement, and a culture of impunity that has long shielded elites from accountability. The nickname Bonanza, once associated with Malanji's flamboyant generosity and high-profile engagements, has now become a symbol of excess and betrayal in the public imagination. Legal experts have hailed the conviction as a turning point, noting that it sets a precedent for future prosecutions and reinforces the judiciary's role in upholding the rule of law. However, they caution that true reform will require more than isolated convictions. It demands a comprehensive overhaul of procurement systems, financial disclosure protocols, and whistleblower protections. Civil society organizations have called for the establishment of an independent anti-corruption commission with prosecutorial powers, arguing that the current structures are too vulnerable to political interference. The sentencing of Malanji and Yamba, scheduled for September 4, 2025, is expected to carry significant weight, both symbolically and legally. Observers anticipate that the court will impose custodial sentences that reflect the severity of the offenses and send a clear message to other public officials. Meanwhile, the Zambian public continues to grapple with the implications of the case, particularly in light of ongoing economic challenges and rising public debt. Many see the scandal as emblematic of a broader pattern of elite enrichment at the expense of national development. In the aftermath of the verdict, questions remain about the recovery of stolen assets and the possibility of further indictments. Investigators are reportedly pursuing leads related to offshore holdings, luxury vehicles, and undeclared business interests linked to Malanji and his associates. The government has pledged to intensify asset recovery efforts and strengthen international cooperation with financial intelligence units in Turkey, China, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. As Zambia navigates the political and legal fallout of the Bonanza scandal, the case of Joseph Malanji stands as a stark reminder of the dangers posed by unchecked power and opaque financial dealings. It underscores the urgent need for transparency, accountability, and civic vigilance in the stewardship of public resources. Whether history will remember Malanji as the architect of the greatest theft in Zambia's history, or as a cautionary tale of political hubris, remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that the legacy of this case will reverberate through Zambia's institutions for years to come.